You're standing on a boat in the Bay of Bengal, 3 miles from the most forbidden island on Earth. Ahead of you, rising from turquoise water, is North Sentinel Island. Dense green jungle covers every inch. White sand beaches ring the perimeter. The island looks like paradise. But what you're looking at shouldn't exist in 2026. A place where human beings live completely outside human history. The boat's engine idles. You're not going closer. Indian law prohibits approach within 3 nautical miles. The Coast Guard enforces this absolutely, not to keep people in, to keep people out. This is one of the last places on the planet where a human society exists in complete isolation, and they have made it clear, violently for thousands of years, that they want no contact. The island is 23 square miles, roughly the size of Manhattan below 34th Street. You cannot land. The reef makes it nearly impossible. Coral extends hundreds of feet from shore, sharp and shallow, impassable except through narrow channels only the islanders know. This is the first defense. Geography. Beyond the reef, the jungle begins abruptly. A wall of green, no paths visible, no smoke rises, no structures appear. The jungle hides everything. Somewhere in that forest, between 50 and 500 people live. The number is unknown. No census has been taken. The silence strikes you first. You hear waves on the reef, wind through trees, birds, nothing human. No voices, no tools, no mechanical sounds. You're 3 miles from people and you cannot hear them. You feel watched. The Sentinelese monitor their beaches. They track movements. They respond to approach. When the pattern is consistent, if you come too close, they appear. They carry bows. They fire arrows. They throw stones. The message is clear. Leave. The last time someone ignored this was 2018. An American missionary named John Allen Chow paid fishermen to take him close. He wanted to make contact, to evangelize. On his third landing, the Sentinelese killed him. His body was never recovered. The Indian government made no attempt to retrieve it or punish the islanders. He violated the exclusion zone. The Sentinelese acted in self-defense. This was not the first death. In 2006, 2 fishermen drifted too close. The Sentinelese killed them both. The pattern extends back through recorded history. Every attempt at contact has been met with resistance. The Sentinelese are not a curiosity. They're people making a choice. The same choice their ancestors made, to remain separate. Anthropologists believe they've been on this island for between 20 and 60,000 years. They arrived when sea levels were lower, when land bridges connected the Andamans to mainland Asia. As oceans rose, the islands separated. Populations became isolated. On most Andaman islands, contact came in the 1800s. British colonizers established penal colonies. The results were catastrophic. Diseases swept through populations with no immunity. The great Andamanese, who numbered perhaps 5,000 in 1858, were reduced to fewer than 50 by 1960. Those who survived lost their land, their autonomy, their way of life. The Sentinelese saw this happen. They knew, and they chose against it. In 1967, the Indian government attempted peaceful contact. They sent teams with gifts. Sometimes the Sentinelese would accept them. Sometimes they would fire arrows. In 1991, there was one moment when they accepted coconuts without weapons. Then it stopped. The next visit, arrows flew again. In 1996, the Indian government officially ended all attempts at contact. The anthropological consensus had shifted. Contact was not a gift. It was a threat. The ethical calculation is straightforward. Every contacted tribe in the Andamans has suffered disease, cultural destruction, loss of land. The Sentinelese have avoided this by maintaining absolute isolation. They have no immunity to common diseases. A single visitor could trigger an epidemic that would kill most of the population within weeks. Beyond disease, contact means change. The introduction of technology, trade, language, concepts that would fundamentally alter their society. You cannot make partial contact. The modern world is a package deal. Once opened, it cannot be closed. From the boat, you can see nothing of their lives. The Sentinelese are believed to be hunter-gatherers. They fish, They hunt, they gather, they have fire, they have bows and arrows with metal points, salvaged from shipwrecks. They build shelters, they have boats, outrigger canoes, used for fishing, but not for deep water. They've never been observed attempting to leave the island. Their language is unknown. When they shout at approaching boats, the words are incomprehensible. This is one of the last languages on Earth that exists entirely outside the modern world's knowledge. No dictionary, no translation. It lives only in the mouths of the speakers. The same is true of everything about them. Their social structure, their beliefs, their stories, their history, all unknown. Right now in 2026, there are people on this island whose names you will never know, whose entire existence will leave no record. They live, they die, and the only people who remember them are the ones still on the island. When the last Sentinelese dies, everything dies with them. Every story, every song, every piece of knowledge accumulated over 60,000 years. Gone. You're looking at a black box, a human society that exists in the modern world but not of it. They know you exist. The metal arrow points prove it. They've seen helicopters, ships, aircraft. They've chosen against it. This is not ignorance, this is decision. The cost of this choice is measurable. They live without modern medicine. Infant mortality is likely high. Lifespans are probably short. When someone gets sick, there's no hospital. This is the reality of choosing isolation. But the alternative is extinction. The contacted tribes of the Andamans are dying. Their populations tiny, their cultures fragmented. The Sentinelese, by remaining isolated, have maintained their population, their language, their way of life. They've looked at what happened to their neighbors and chosen differently. The Indian government's policy is unique. The exclusion zone is enforced. The policy is protecting the island from the outside world, not the outside world from the island. The Sentinelese are classified as a threat not because they attack unprovoked, but because approaching them is considered inherently harmful to them. After the 2004 tsunami, there was concern they'd been wiped out. The Coast Guard sent a helicopter to check. On the beach, a Sentinelese man appeared. He fired an arrow at the helicopter. The helicopter retreated. They had survived. They wanted no help. The government provided none. Even in disaster, the principle of non-contact held. You're still on the boat, still watching. The sun is lower now. The jungle darkens. Nothing has changed on the island. No one has appeared. The island keeps its secrets. The boat's engine starts. You're leaving. The island recedes behind you. The jungle returns to being a green line on the horizon. Then it's gone. You'll sleep in a hotel tonight. You'll use a phone. You'll exist in the connected world. 70 miles west, people will sleep in shelters in the jungle. They'll speak a language no one else knows. They'll exist in a world that has no connection to yours except proximity. The question is how long this can last. The Sentinelese have maintained isolation for thousands of years, but the pressure is different now. The modern world is more intrusive, more capable. The policy of non-contact is Indian law, but laws change, governments change. For now, the policy holds. For now, the island remains closed. What does it mean that a place like this exists in 2026? The world is mapped. The internet connects billions. The Earth is known, cataloged, documented, except for this island, except for these people. They represent something that shouldn't exist in the modern world, a true unknown, a group of people about whom almost nothing is known because they've refused to be known. The Sentinelese can see out. They see boats, aircraft, and evidence of a world beyond their reef. They know you exist. You cannot see in. The power imbalance is obvious. The modern world could overwhelm them instantly if it chose, but the choice has been made to not use that power, to let them remain separate. This is unusual in human history. Power is usually exercised. Here, the strong have decided to leave the weak alone, not out of weakness, but out of recognition. Recognition that contact means destruction, that the most respectful thing to do is nothing. You understand now what you couldn't understand before. The power of the island is not in what you can see, it's in what you can't. The island is a void in the modern world's knowledge, a place where no one has internet, where no one has been vaccinated, where no one speaks any known language, where life continues in a pattern established millennia ago. The island is defended not by weapons but by policy. The Sentinelese carry bows, but bows cannot stop helicopters. What stops helicopters is the Indian government's decision that some places should remain untouched, that the modern world's benefits do not outweigh its costs for those who don't want them. This is a radical position. It assumes that the right to be left alone is absolute. For now, the policy holds. For now, the Sentinelese remain in their jungle, living lives that no outsider understands, speaking a language no outsider knows, maintaining a society that exists nowhere else. And the island gives nothing back. No interviews, no documentaries, no explanations. Just jungle, beach, reef, and the occasional figure at the tree line. Bow in hand, message clear. And this is North Sentinel Island, just a small piece of land where a small group of people have decided that whatever the modern world offers is not worth what it takes. They've seen the evidence. They've evaluated the options. They've made their choice. The rest of the world has decided to respect it. Not because they agree, not because they understand, but because the alternative is to destroy the last example of something that once covered the earth. Isolated human societies, self-sufficient, autonomous, separate. They're gone now, absorbed, contacted, integrated, extinct. All except this one. For now, the waves still break on the reef. The forest still hides its people. The outside world watches from a distance, and the island remains sealed, not by walls or weapons, but by the simple, absolute decision to be left alone.